For most sporting events, you just watch the game and move on. But every 4 years, something different happens. Alarms go off at 2 a.m., people skip work, and pubs are packed. And suddenly, everyone in the country is watching football. Today, we're talking about why, what the World Cup actually means to us as fans. Welcome back to Red, White and Roo, a Talk of the Town production following the journey of the Socceroos on their road to the World Cup. And today, my brother Harry has joined with me and we are talking about what the World Cup means to us. Harry, how are we?
Yes, I'm doing well. It's good to dive into some nostalgia on my Wednesday night.
Oh,
Not Friday night.
isn't it, mate? Right, mate. School holidays, you don't know what day it is.
It's fast,
Mate,
man. Yeah, working hard.
it's an absolute treat. It's one of those things where we covered it in the first episode. It always has a special place in anyone who's a big sports fan's heart, particularly here in Australia, because of the fact that a lot of people do get around the national team when the World Cup comes around. They won't care when we're playing random World Cup qualifiers, but they will care when the real thing rolls around. It's one of those things where the country genuinely does stop, doesn't it?
Yeah, like you go Fed Square in Melbourne gets filled. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you get the passionate just 2 o'clock people jumping around, just loving it,
Yeah.
and it
I
actually
love
becomes
it.
relevant.
Yeah, I love those Fed Square. You always see the zoomed out shot of say we've scored a goal and it's just drinks and stuff going everywhere and it's it's like 2 a.m. and everyone's just charging on, engaging in the passion. And that's obviously in especially in Melbourne with the soccer community, well, the football community down there. It really is just a petri dish of football passion, which you see a lot throughout the NPL, particularly in Victoria, as well as the success of the Melbourne Victory and Melbourne City. I'd say, Harry, the one thing I love about the World Cup, and I heard a YouTuber I watch that we both have dabbled in, Zealand, talk about. He said the thing that he loves the most about the World Cup is that it's every country. Every country has a football team and there's a representative of the world, like the world's interpretation of football, all descends on this one tournament where you have to qualify to be there. Like you have to have your ticket punched. And the fact that a team like Curacao can be at the World Cup, but a football giant like Italy isn't. And we've seen other massive teams miss the World Cup in previous years. There's just so much theatre about it. And I think that really adds to it.
Yeah, it's just massive. It's more people will watch the World Cup final than people who won't.
Yeah.
Which
And I mean,
which is a crazy thing to say, or maybe not on that scale on just the World Cup final, but more people will see a game of the World Cup than people who won't.
yeah, mate, totally. And we'll touch on a few of our own personal experiences that definitely repeat to that. It is one of those where there's 5 billion people in the world. This is one tournament and football is such a world game that
There's 8 billion people in the world.
is it 8 billion or 5 billion?
8 billion.
8 billion. My notes here from Claude have done me dirty there. Sorry, listeners. But it is such I just love the different cultures that come together. And I always think of as a 12-year-old watching the 2010 World Cup and going, what on earth is that noise in the crowd? And it was the Vuvuzelas. And I'd never heard of a Vuvuzela in my life. But I remember tuning in to the opening match, which was South Africa versus Mexico. And I just remember going what is that noise? And the commentators, Peter Drury, who obviously commentated that game and had the great line of goal for South Africa, goal for all of Africa.
Shabalaba.
Shabalaba. Goal Bafana Bafana. And he was really good throughout the broadcast of going okay, like you might be hearing that dull hum throughout the whole every game. That's the vuvuzelas. It's like a South African or African horn, and then it would cut to these guys in the crowd just, "Ah," and it would just, mate, every game it became the soundtrack. Then when obviously you go back and you play the South Africa 2010 FIFA World Cup game, there's vuvuzelas in the crowd, and it's just this like constant hum of this like perfect, um, like
Which,
recreation
on the
of what
topic of
it was.
a World Cup game, we might have a little treat coming for
Yeah,
listeners and
Harry and I are
viewers.
thinking throughout the series. We're going to get on throughout the series of our love of football gaming and particularly our love of World Cup gaming. But I own every World Cup game from now until back in 2006. So I have on PS2 the FIFA World Cup 2006 game, and then PS3 2010, 2014, and then obviously on the later consoles you've got 2018, 2022. And we're going to touch on throughout this series what are we going to see happen now, but we'll get to that. Um, so Harry, we touched on the global scale of the World Cup. It's a massive event, and because of it being such an event, it dips into people's lives and then it dips out. For the people that are like us that love and eat and breathe football, we see this coming from a mile away, and we want to watch the draw, we want to watch qualifying, and we really immerse ourselves in it. But what you do see is you do see a lot of people all of a sudden start to care, and we talk about something harnessing the nation, right? Like focusing on Australia here. You think of things that have harnessed the nation. I immediately think of Kathy Freeman, 2000, the 1983 America's Cup win, the 2006 or 2005 Socceroos qualified, then the 2006 campaign. These are things that harness the nation, and you get carried away, and the wonder of, could the Socceroos go on a run and we'll see more signs of that. I think that's the most exciting thing, where it harnesses the imaginations. We saw it with the Matildas a few years ago, where really like mania took over because they had the success. It was in Australia, um, and I think everyone would love to see the Socceroos get that same sort of mania. A little bit hard because obviously the Matildas, it was a home World Cup, but I think this Socceroos team is so likable and so lovable. It's just ready for the Australian public to see them on the world stage show their talents.
Yeah, the Socceroos always do pretty well get that mania throughout a World Cup,
Mm.
like it happened in 2022. I know that for sure, especially when we got on a bit of a roll.
Yeah.
But
The one thing I will say is I never ever thought in my lifetime I would be sitting at the Gabba watching a Brisbane Lions game, and people stayed behind and were glued in the members' dining or the members' bar area upstairs to the penalty shootout when the Matildas beat France. Like I've never. We'll get on to some World Cup experience I've had that are similar overseas, but that one for me was like none. That for me just showcased when something harnesses the nation, where like old mate that hates women's sport is there, like in the pub or the bar, wherever they're at or at home, and they are glued to it.
yeah,
And they don't know
yeah,
any of the players. They don't know anything of what's happened, but Australia's playing and they're locked in. And I think there's very few um, there's very few events that do that, and the World Cup is definitely one of them. And I think the only one that probably comes close, it's like a regular occurrence, is probably the Olympics, where like
mm.
you just fall in love with random sport, or like we get a gold in something rogue, and everyone all of a sudden is like, oh yeah, yeah, and like, everyone always remembers that. I always think of Steve Hooker in the pole vault. Now that was from the year you were born, Harry, but
Yeah.
he won gold in the pole vaulting, or Matthew Mitcham in Beijing with the diving. All of a sudden everyone knows that guy's name forever because he won gold. So
Yeah, you you say that, but I feel like the Olympics doesn't do it for many people. I don't reckon as much anymore. I
yeah,
think it, I think it is
it's
only the
changing.
World Cup. I think it
Mm,
is genuinely. It's funny for a country that largely all says they hate soccer. It's crybabies. It's drama. How
mm.
come the World Cup is like? How come the World Cup's the only thing that can glue the nation. You
Yeah.
can't see the Ashes do it. You can't see the AFL do it. You can't see the NRL do it. It's only
I,
soccer where you see
I
every
think,
single person from both genders just glued.
yeah, I think from at least from I can't well, we can't comment on what that's like for someone who comes from a proper footballing nation. In Australia, we're run by two major codes plus cricket, etc. But I think in Australia, particularly, I think everyone, because of at least throughout our generations, because of the stance that and the marketability of the massive European players, and you can't understate the influence that football video games have on the wider football culture. Everyone knows, right? There would be people out there, they know Mbappe, they know Messi, they know Ronaldo, they might know Vinny Jr., they might know Declan Rice, but they wouldn't be able to tell you
Sorry,
Patrick Yazbek.
Why have you put Declan Rice on the level of those players?
Not on the same level, but he is a notable English player for one of
I
the
could tell
best
you.
teams in England. He just
No,
came to mind. He just
mate.
came to mind.
I'm telling you, no casual fan who's just tuning into the Socceroos knows who Declan Rice is.
Well, he's going to be running England's midfield, so you
Yeah,
better get
mate.
around him.
You're
Hey, whoa,
rattling
whoa,
off.
no, Harry, go and look up. Go and look up. Anyone listening that's sitting there going, I don't know who Declan Rice is. Just type in Declan Rice free kick Real Madrid, and then you'll know who Seki Deki is with the techie. Sorry, a better use of that is probably actually Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham, one of England's best
Yeah,
players, played for Real Madrid.
attractive.
He's Yeah, and he's very marketable, right? And so a lot of Australians will know them. They won't know Patrick Yazbek or
No.
Paul Izzo or Joe Gauchi. Like they might be able to know Mitchell Duke
Or
because they
Tino
think back to
Livramento.
yeah, who plays for England. They might go and think back to 4 years ago. Oh, is bloody Craig Goodman still running around?
Yeah, and they go, who is this Mikolenko at left back for Ukraine?
Yeah, and so I think the wider
Who is
football culture.
Højbjerg in the midfield for Denmark?
Yeah, so I think the wider football public now, it's so easy if you play sports video games to have an idea of what's going on outside, and they're so marketable, and they're these math. Premier League's huge now. European football is just growing more and more all the time, and so they're just shoved down their throat a bit more than what's happening in the A League or wherever any of the other Socceroos are playing. And I think there's real potential for that to change once we start to see some like maybe Aaron Kunda gets a move to a developing Premier League side, or Moture he gets a move to a developing Premier League side. But I think there's real potential in this World Cup that we're going to start to maybe see some household names. We're going to start to see the Australian public fall in love with Moture, with Aaron Kunda, with Chicardi, because they're really talented and they're great footballers. And there's like particularly Aaron Kunda, like he's just so exciting. So if Harry, well, before we go on to what the World Cup means to us personally, if there's a footballer this World Cup that the general public of Australia should fall in love with, who is it? And you can't say Aaron Cooner because he's a given.
Geordie Boss.
Yeah, dude, he's so good. I agree. Great shout. I really hope everyone can fall in love with Mo Toure. He's so exciting. He's just exactly who we need up front. I'm really excited to see Mo Toure. I really hope he can just
I,
stay
I,
fit.
I just hope he starts. I
Yeah,
hope he gets given the role.
yeah, me too. Harry, what does the World Cup mean to you personally as a fan?
It's so much fun.
Mm.
There's football on all the time. Everyone's talking about it. It's all televised. It's all easy to find. It's all in the one spot. It's
Shout out
waking up at
SBS.
it's waking up at 2 a.m. You've stoked the fire up, so it's still warm. You go and get the fire cranking. I'll make myself a coffee, and you just nestle in there and just get iconic moments
Mm.
coming at you every single night.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop. I
And
think for me personally, sorry,
you're
you go.
you're getting no sleep. But you don't seem to be tired. At
Mm,
2 a.m.
mm.
the next morning, you're still up, and
Yeah,
it's
I think for me personally, I love it so much because it's just a festival of football. And what's been so good about World Cups in the past is because of it's always been held in a different place, you get the festival of football with the host nation or now nations. They're like theming like mixed in through it, which means that like when you're in Brazil, it's like the festival of football, and it's like Brazil's spin on it, and then it's Russia's spin on it, and then it's obviously Qatar's spin on it, and all the stuff that went on with that definitely should have because of how corrupt FIFA was. But for me, it's just I love people. I love the theatre of it. I love the storylines of it. I love that like there's just been a recurring pattern where the team that for a while there, where the team that had won the World Cup wasn't getting out of the group 4 years later. We saw that with Spain in 2014. We then saw that with Italy in 2010 and Germany in 2018. And then obviously France bucked the trend in 2022. But I just love the festival of football. I love it. Similar to what you said, um, you just I describe it as you just lock in for 6 weeks and everything else, your sleep schedule, everything goes out
Yeah.
the window, and you just absolutely you just lock in and embrace and strap yourselves in for the ride. So Harry, it's time for the World Cup rewind. And this week, this episode, we are doing our favourite World Cups. Now, before we get on to our favourite World Cups, we did a listener call out and asked for some people to send in their World Cup rewinds. So Corey sent his in and he said the 2006 World Cup, particularly Italy diving and rolling around on the floor and robbing us of the World Cup in 2006, something we spoke about in the last episode. Lockie Clapp said Timmy Cahill's absolute stunner against the Netherlands in 2014. Sam said, that's Sam McGee Dugan. He said the 2018 World Cup Portugal versus Spain match, Ronaldo's late equalising free kick. Elliot Bierhuizen, who comes from a Dutch heritage, said the Netherlands lost to Spain in 2010, a very sad day for the Bierhuizen family. And then Ruben Smith said, Shabalaba opening goal, greatest piece of commentary ever. And on the TikTok, we had an absolute passionate response from a young German called Connor who said, Germany beating Australia in 2010, first memory of the World Cup and first football game I remember going to. As a German living in Australia at the time, it's a pretty sick memory. So there are a few of the World Cup
Yeah.
rewinds we got sent in.
Keep them
And the
coming.
next one we're going to do, we'll keep reading your first World Cup memories. We're also going to do a call out for your favourite World Cup that you can remember. Harry, would you like to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. For me, it's really it's the first one I properly got into and was given the license to get into by mum and dad, and that's
Yeah.
2020, and that's
Which,
2022.
which Harry, what is not lost on this for you is that the change of timing for the World Cup in 2022 actually allowed you to be on school holidays for basically all of it, which meant you could have you were a free bird because you would have been grade 9
Yeah, well, I'm grade 12 now.
and it was 2022. No, so you would have been grade 8.
Yeah, grade eight.
Yeah.
It was right at the end of the year. So like at the start of it, the first games was when I handed in my last assignments, and like I had a passionate teacher who was big into football at the time. He was a Liverpool fan, and that was the title race I reckon between Liverpool and City, and I just remember ripping into him when we won. And I remember saying to him, I was like, "Hey, sir, I know we've got like school tomorrow, but tonight there's this really good night of World Cup, and I'm tossing up doing an all nighter. Um, like just so you know, I might be tired." And he's like, "Yeah, we've done our assessments. Go for your life." So I still remember what night that was. All right, it was when it was Portugal's first group games. It was like Portugal, South Korea, and someone, and it was also England's World Cup games. And I was staying up. I was pulling stupid amounts of hours. The Aussies had a passionate run. I remember being in the lounge room when Mitch Duke scores that goal. It
Scores a
just,
beautiful glancing header. Like,
mate.
just the neck of God.
Oh. And then Lecky against Denmark going like we're actually going through, and then just being like didn't give us a chance to beat Argentina, and sitting back going, we've
We gave
just
that a red hot
we
go.
like we are not far away from going to what would have been extra time.
Mm.
It was extra time, not pens. Yeah, going to extra time against the eventual winners. Like
Very eerily, I mean, a different similarity to 2006, but the two times we've made the knockouts of the World Cup, the team we've lost to is the team that's won. And you just go,
like that fight we put
actually,
up
Harry,
against Argentina was great.
on that game against Argentina, I love that Instagram reel where it's like it's like a girl being like, you didn't even try, and then it's like the try, and
Yeah,
it's like the
yeah,
highlights of the Socceroos against Argentina, and it's like we couldn't have done anyway. They couldn't have done us any more proud.
yeah. And like you still get Argentinian fans talk about Eddie Martinez, and they show the save against little old Australia, and it's like,
Yeah, like against Geraint
oh,
Ball, yeah.
yeah. Oh, well, who knows? Maybe this year.
Knock Messi off his perch in his last World Cup. What about Harry across the World Cup? Is there across that World Cup? Is there anything else, any other viewings or things that maybe aren't Socceroo related that stick out to you
Well,
about
just
2022?
the whole like thing of this is Messi and Ronaldo's last World Cups, which is saying it's like it's happened a bit that it's not, but that was the storyline. It was all like, and just like Messi actually doing it. Like I'm more of a Ronaldo fan. Don't know why. I just always have liked him a bit more, which is annoying because
Mm.
he's not as good. But like Ronaldo just like getting benched, them getting knocked out, that stupid Moroccan girl that I still hate going, here's Ronaldo crying in his car. Like just
Mm.
and that final. Oh my goodness.
Oh, mate, that final. I mean, and your final viewing experience. Did you and Dad watch it, or like I can't? I
Yeah,
remember you saying
yeah,
about how you watched it.
I didn't wake up because I was sleeping in a room with Angus in a little shoebox in Wollongabba,
Mm.
and I didn't set an alarm to wake up because it was 2 o'clock, and then I was like, oh, I'll watch the replay the next day. So I watched the replay and yeah, ended up watching it with Dad and like didn't know the scoreline, just going, what?
Mm. Mate, I think like it's just that final. You just honestly like you're speechless. Like we, I always think of like Kylian Mbappe. Like he's probably the closest thing we've seen to like a Messi and Ronaldo. Like so spoiled that their level of greatness has become like the benchmark, which is kind of like unfair for the guys coming through. But if he wheels France over the line there, that is a generational World Cup performance. Like I know you talk about like, there's a meme in cricket where it's like, 100 in a losing team, but a hat trick in a World Cup final and you
Yeah.
lose, he must just have been there going, I don't know what more I could have done.
Yeah.
I
And
think on when you watch that game back, the thing that always gets me, and it actually happens with every single Argentinian game, or it's mainly Argentina, but it does happen a lot with South American teams. It's just how panicked they get late in games. Like that was what nearly cost them against Australia was we actually held our nerve better than they did. We just
yeah.
didn't take our chances. And they just get so like emotionally heightened and so panicked. It's like, guys, just settle down. Like, um, I always remember the Argentina versus Netherlands game where did a Netherlands player, was it Weghorst, booted a ball at the Argentina bench? Or did an Argentina player
no, no,
boot a
no.
ball at the Netherlands
Yeah.
bench?
Netherlands bench.
And you
It
just
was,
go, was it? I can't remember who the player was, but
I
you just
remember,
go like,
might have been DePaul,
oh,
Rodrigo DePaul.
Messi's bodyguard,
Yeah, and then just like, all hell broke loose.
mate.
You got Messi yelling at Weghorst, give it a wall, give it a wall, and like it's just what?
But it's
Just
like those like there's always those like iconic moments where you just go like people just lose their heads in those massive games. Like to take a leaf out of 2010's book, like Nigel de Jong.
Virgil's just put the hip and shoulder into someone. They've gone
Oh mate, but
flying.
the one always comes to me. 2010 World Cup final. Nigel de Jong. He literally karate kicks Xabi Alonso in the chest, doesn't get sent off, and you're like, referee, what are you saying? He's just kung fu kicked him. But yeah, I think 2022 is such a good shout. And I know like there's the whole like human rights and the corruption in FIFA and everything that came behind it, which is such a shame because some of the football in those knockout games was, especially that final, was unbelievable. I think one of the greatest World Cup finals. You don't often get a shootout, a barn burner in a World Cup final. And didn't
I
we
think
get
it's
it?
the best, and I don't think you can really argue against it.
No, I don't think so. I don't think
Like
either.
you've got the comeback, you've got the Messi, you've got the like,
There's just, I mean, there's so many storylines, isn't there? Like it's kind of like chase the thread you want, you'll get, and
yeah.
there's some incredible stories from it. Um, anything to add from 2022, Harry? Before I share mine.
Uh, no.
So mine is 2018. It was the first World Cup that I didn't have to completely screw my sleep schedule for because I was in the United States for 2/3 of it on a holiday with Celia, my wife. It was also my first World Cup as an adult, so I could stay up and answer to no one. And in the lead up to like finishing uni for the semester, I was in third year, finishing uni for the semester. So for the first third of it, I went, well, I'm going to be going away, so I want to watch as much of this as I possibly can. um, I remember I was working as a teacher aide while I was studying my teaching degree. And I remember one day I had absolutely cooked myself because I'd watched so much of the World Cup where I went home at afternoon break from the school I was at and just crashed and napped for like 3 hours in the afternoon and woke up as Celia, got home. She was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I don't know, I just passed out. And so it was nice to then go to America and not have to have that experience. But I remember watching that Spain Portugal game live on the couch. Seals and I had just got our first apartment together, so we I remember watching that cracking game, like 3-3, Ronaldo hat trick. Like obviously David De Gea makes a couple of errors and makes it a bit easier for Portugal, but unbelievable game. I remember watching where you and I are both big listeners of the Football Ramble, so I remember following England pretty closely, and I remember them coming to back to beat Tunisia. I reckon it was 2-1. Harry Kane scores a late like flick on header at the back post, and they win. And they obviously go on that big run at that World Cup and make the semis. From a Socceroos point of view in that World Cup, stinky, stinky, stinky. None of the reason why this is my favourite World Cup is at all to do with the Socceroos. We had France, Denmark, and Peru in our group, and Peru played so dirty against us. It was absolutely sweet to knock them out to qualify for the World Cup instead of them for Qatar, where Andrew Redmayne made those big saves. Another iconic Australian moment. And I think we only scored two penalties for the whole World Cup. Jednak scored
That's
both our
just
goals; they were both pens, and we got a draw against Denmark, but it was just rubbish. Like it was so like it just was. No, it wasn't a slightest bit entertaining. I mean, you got behind the boys, but you were like, "Oh, this is ridiculous." But being in America for 2/3 of this World Cup, Harry, the time zone was unreal. Like I'm talking about games were at 9, 11, and 1 in the day, which
oh,
was great for me.
that's just
Not as
great.
good for not as good for Celia as her boyfriend was absolutely glued to his phone
No,
and trying
Celia
to
can
find
just.
every possible opportunity to watch the World Cup. Some notable watching memories from that World Cup that will always stick with me, and this is the one of the things of like the wider footballing culture being such a thing around the world. People overseas don't associate Australia with football, but which I'll get on to why that applies to my story in a second. But I remember watching Portugal get knocked out by Uruguay on a train going from Boston to New York. I paid for extra data on my travel SIM card so I could stream it on my phone. We went to the museum in Washington, D.C., which to those that might be wondering what's a museum, it's kind of like a museum for world significant news. So there's like parts of the Berlin Wall, there's like a big part on 9/11. Incredibly interesting. We went there on a Sunday and it would shut at about 3 o'clock. Now, because the 1 p.m. kickoff was the quarterfinal between Croatia and the hosts, Russia, they had a massive screen up. They had a massive screen up, and they put the shootout And so everyone stayed, and on this screen was huge, and it was like a 5-story building. And so there was people on every single one of those stories, like watching. Like these are just general Americans and some tourists, like watching and cheering on as the shootout happened and Russia get knocked out, Croatia go through. But they kicked us out. But it was like half an hour after they'd shut. They let us stay in and watch the shootout and the last bit of extra time, which was so passionate. And you're just there with like randoms that are like, we're not even watching the US play. It's literally Russia and Croatia,
Yeah. Yeah.
which then obviously Croatia go on to play England in the semi. I was on a plane from Washington to San Fran, and I paid for the back of seat coverage, the Fox coverage. So I was sitting on the last row on the window of the back left of the plane. So there's no one behind me, and I'm like so boxed in. And there was a heap of other people in. I could see everyone in front of me. There was a heap of other people that had paid for it as well. And when Kieran Trippier scores that free kick, no joke, as it goes in, there's like 40 people on the plane, like jumping up and celebrating, because everyone's like watching this game the same that I am. So that was a pretty cool thing to share. And then obviously Croatia end up winning and England get bundled out, which was disappointing from their World Cup campaign. But I think what is probably my favourite World Cup memory from this World Cup is we were then in San Fran staying at a hostel, and we didn't have a TV in our room, which was a bit strange, but we didn't have a TV in our room. So the hostel hosted a World Cup watch party, and it was obviously France, Croatia. And I remember going down there, and I'm just wearing like Brisbane Lions shorts and like a t-shirt, and there's just like French blokes everywhere, like French blokes everywhere,
Really? That would have
and
been
I'm
so
wearing,
cool.
mate, and there's just this massive group, and a few of them introduced themselves to me, and they were like asking me like, "Hey, mate, like where are you from?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Australian. Like I love the World Cup. Like I'm a football nerd. Like I'm a huge fan." And they could not believe it. Like I had so many of them asking me like, "How did you get in love with football? Like who do you support? Why do you support them?" And I just it was the game kicked off about 8:30 in the morning in San Fran, and I just sat there and hung out with these French blokes. We had breakfast together, had a few coffees together, uh, and watched the World Cup together. And France end up being World Cup winners, and Mbappe wins a World Cup really young, and just an incredible memory. Honestly, just an incredible memory, and no better example of football being such a world game. Um,
I've
and yeah,
never
that
heard
that
you tell that story. That is
I
so
mean,
cool.
I've never really been in the position to, but it was honestly so awesome. And these French guys, they couldn't believe it. And I loved hearing about like, where in France are you from? Who do you support? Like what's your local club? Like all of this stuff is so good. Like I love it so much. So for those reasons, everyone has their World Cup, but for me, 2018 is that. Like it's I just was so immersed in the football culture, and I wasn't just in Australia, just like banging my head against the wall, ruining my sleeping pattern. Like I actually felt like I was in it, and I was in the thick of it, and they're all memories that will stick with me forever. Um, yeah, so 2018, that's my favorite. That's my all time favorite World Cup memories, and that is the World Cup rewind for this week. So we would love to hear yours, both your first or your favorite, first World Cup memory or your favorite World Cup. So make sure you either comment on the episode or send it in, or we will also be putting a heap of social media content up that you will be able to interact with, because we love hearing World Cup stories and hearing people's own nostalgia thoughts. We're now going to go on to, Harry, a little bit of a Socceroos theme. So Socceroos moments that will stick with us from World Cups gone by. I'll start with a few of mine that I think are really cool. I think we touched on it a little bit last week, with Timmy Cahill and the first win against Japan, and just how iconic that was. But the thing that always sticks with me from that game is Australia were 1-0 down due to a dubious, like, ball comes in, Schwarzer goes up for it. If there's a big collision, it goes over the back, ends up in the back of the net. Now probably doesn't get allowed because they'll go and have a look at it on VAR. But Australia then just like go at them and go at them. And Japan still had their chances. They go at them. Cahill makes a difference, scores two. Aloisi makes a difference, and they make it 3-1. I remember then, like, we're going in to play Brazil in the next game. And, like, this is the Brazil. Like, this is Robinho, Ronaldo, original Ronaldo. Like, this is Dida in goal. This is Cafu at right back. This is Roberto Carlos at left back. This is Adriano at his peak. Ronaldinho. And you just, these names, and you're going, like, how the heck is Scott Chipperfield supposed to stop these guys? You know, like, what are we doing here? And just being able to sit there and watch these guys. It's the same when the Socceroos have played France and they're playing up against Pogba and Kante and Mbappe and all of these guys. You go like, how? Like, these guys aren't even in the same postcode. There's guys they're closer to playing NPL out of the A League than they are to being anywhere near a European club. And you're just there going like, that's the beauty of the World Cup.
Yeah.
That's one for me. It's just the awe of Brazil, like that being able. I mean, they lost 2-0, but being able to go in there against Brazil and just be like, wow, the Socceroos are playing Brazil at a World Cup. Like, whoa, pinch me. So, what are a few of yours, Harry?
Cahill's goal in 2014. That is my one. That's my one like memory I have of the 2014 World Cup with
Mate,
Australia. Um,
I'll get onto a story about that once you're
and then 2022. Like you've got the big goals that like Australia's winning goals, but Craig Goodwin putting us up against France, the defending world champions, in like it was like the 5th minute, wasn't it?
done. It was really early. He was on the left from memory.
Finish, an absolute
Absolute
finish.
finish, yeah.
And I just remember going, we are beating the defending champions. And obviously, like we capitulated to be 5-1, but like we put up a decent fight. I reckon it was 1-1 in the 60th minute.
Yeah, I think
I
it
reckon they
was.
equalised quickly. I reckon in the 20th minute, but then like the rest of their goals came late, and I was like,
Did
pretty good,
did
pretty good performance.
Giroud score a few
Like,
goals?
yeah, Giroud came in off the bench. I reckon Kingsley Coman scored a goal.
4-1, Harry. So Goodman scored first, Rabiot then scored, and then Giroud scored in the 32nd, Mbappe in the 68th, and then Giroud again in the 71st. So yeah,
Yeah, so
they
we
equalised about 20 minutes later.
um, but like we were into it until like Mbappe scored that goal to make it
Mm.
3-1. Like when it's 2-1, you get in it.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember the France. You do forget, Harry, the France. We played them in 2018 and only lost 2-1. So they got a penalty. Griezmann scored it in the 58th, and then Jedinak equalised through a penalty in the 62nd. From memory, I reckon Umtiti gave away a handball, and then Aziz Bayic concedes an own goal in the 80th minute. So we were drawing in the 80th minute against France. I remember watching it, and France, the way they were behaving was ridiculous. But they end up obviously winning 2-1, and you just go like, we were not great at that World Cup, but we gave them a scare. Like
Yeah,
and obviously, first, that's their first World Cup game. So they obviously came into their own as that World Cup went on. They were fantastic in 2018, obviously going on to being champions. On that Cahill volley, Harry, I don't think I told this story in the last episode. And listeners, I'm sorry if I did. My memory's a bit hazy. But that was the Dolby State High Athletics Carnival. And it was the first day. And so all the boys came and stayed at our house. And that kickoff was 2:30 in the morning. And the Netherlands score, and then off the kickoff, Cahill dishes it. It goes to the right, and it was Ryan McGowan, I reckon, the right back. And so Cahill then bombs forward. McGowan plays this loopy ball in, and it falls to Tim. Not to mention, falls to him on his non-preferred on the left peg, and he hits it as sweet as a nut. You won't see a better strike. And mate, we went nuts. Like I can't remember if we definitely woke mum up definitely woke Dad up. But we went nuts. Like you imagine, like me and 4 other 16-year-old boys just like stacks on in our lounge room at the bar, and we're just like in the thick of it because we're like,
Oh,
oh my gosh, that like what has just happened? He has just hit that over the right shoulder, left foot, crossbar and in, and we're 1-1 against the Netherlands, who at that time you forget they had a pretty good World Cup in 2014, but being led by Louis van Gaal. But you do also forget that they were the runners up in 2010.
yeah,
So when you looked at our group from 2014, we had the runners up, the previous champions, and Chile. And so you're like, this is a terrible group. And all of a
yeah,
sudden you're like, wow, it's 1-1 and it's game on. And that is just, I think that definitely might be one of the. Do you put it down as the greatest Socceroo goal of all time?
yeah, and I don't think it's close.
I don't think there's one that even touches it.
Maybe the only one that comes close on moment wise is probably um Aloisi's penalty. But being a penalty, like it's not the
Yeah,
greatest
that's
goal.
that's that's not that's for the cultural significance behind it, not the like pure sporting moment. Um,
Yeah.
I actually reckon Matt Leckie's goal against Denmark's up there. Like he could not have put that more bottom corner if he
Mm.
tried.
And it's also such the like it's how we look in World Cups is we just look so slow.
Yeah. You see the
Like
golf in quality, don't you?
yeah. And it's like, why is this 65? No, not even 65. Why is this 55 pace centre back chasing my striker from FIFA? You look at the FIFA ratings going, hold on, Højbjerg's not that fast. Why is he catching Matthew Leckie?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mate, I totally. And then I think again to everything for me, a lot of things come back to me. 2006, like I just there's a big like there's another timeline where that game goes to extra time and Italy were dead on their feet and they don't give away that pen and it ends up being a situation where in extra time you just don't know what would have happened. Like I reckon we had them on toast and you just don't know what that World Cup looks like as Australia go to the quarterfinals. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think about that all the time. Like, what would have happened in 2006? Like, where would we have exited the World Cup? Because we had a really good squad. Um, and I think that's one where I think like there's a lot of Socceroos fans that sit there and go, "What if? What if?"
yeah, yep.
Now, Harry, we've touched on some Socceroos moments. We're now going to go to some World Cup moments that actually had nothing to do with Australia. So your favourite, it's your standout World Cup moments that had nothing to do with Australia.
Uh yeah, probably just the 2022 World Cup final. Like
Yeah,
you,
obviously
you just can't beat it.
we've touched on that. There's a few for me that stand out. There's always one of the things I love the most about the World Cup is there's always this someone that like it makes it their World Cup. You know, like I immediately think of like James in 2014.
Yeah.
He for Colombia was unbelievable, and he scored some outrageous goals like that. The like chested volley where he takes it down, which
Oh,
I think that's the only goal in World Cup history that won the Puskas Award. It's the only goal that happened in the World Cup that won the Puskas.
did Maradona's in 1982, or was the award not around back then? Because it would have that Maradona one would have on it. It would have been 86, I reckon. Yeah, 86 against England, where he goes goes the whole length. But I don't think it was around then. Only award's only been around since 2008. Because I think Ronaldo's was the first one to win it.
The Porto one.
Yeah, the one from a million miles out.
Yeah, so James Rodriguez, he won. It was for a goal against Uruguay where he takes it, chests it, and volleys it, and it just the way it like hits the post and drops down, so satisfying. But then Giovanni dos Santos for Mexico in 2010 was excellent, and even just something from
Diego
2010.
Forlan.
Yes, and like 2010, one of the big things is like the way the Jabulani moved. Like it had a mind of its own. The way it was zigzagging and zipping all over the place. From that World Cup, I always remember Luis Suarez, the Uruguay versus Ghana game, where he gets sent off for the red card, and then the penalty, they miss the pen,
And
and
he's there
Uruguay go through,
celebrating.
and he's there like celebrating and
He's a
carrying
little
on.
rascal.
Mate,
Louis?
that's the other thing. You have the ultimate like World Cup villains. Like you then 4 years later, he bites. Is it Bonucci or Chiellini? I think it was Chiellini.
Yeah, mate. I'll
He
tell you what, I
literally
would not be biting Bonucci.
and
He'd
like
turn around and
and like Chiellini is like pulling his shirt down,
you've got
and
a mark.
Suarez is on the ground like clutching his teeth. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that
So
you've like
bad.
fallen like teeth first? Like, mate, what are you like? It just doesn't make any sense. And then you've got the real like I touched on it earlier, but like the 2010 World Cup final where Nigel de Jong doesn't get set off and he literally like kung fu kicks Xabi Alonso in the chest. It's like that is a straight red any day of the week. How that hasn't happened in a World Cup final, and obviously VAR now would mean it would, but like you just go, what are you doing?
Yeah,
The other one, obviously big significant moments is like I remember South Korea in 2018 knocking Germany out where like Heung-min Son, like they get this breaker because Neuer's up because they need to score, and then they like break away, and Heung-min Son ends up scoring. That's another good one. I I
I've
think
got
then,
I've got a question for you.
yep, go on.
What is the like biggest World Cup not performance but like player of all time? I know for me, I've got it.
So like, are you talking about someone who like always performs at the World Cup?
No, just like someone that like had so many big moments and like the world like he World Cup after World Cup had big moments, like big performances, just a big World Cup guy.
I would say Miroslav Klose for Germany.
Yeah.
He scored so many goals for Germany, and like even in 2014, like he scored that many goals at like such an age where it was just like he was like the kind of guy that just like he just comes out of the woodworks when it's the World Cup. Like he is the all-time leading goal scorer for Germany. He's recorded the most goals scored in the FIFA World Cup history with 16. Like
Yeah.
he just shows up and like he for me he just is always there all the time, and like he was so good for Germany, and he was one of those guys where like it didn't really matter what he was doing. As soon as the World Cup rolled around, he was just like business. What about you?
For me, and I don't think it can be anyone else, it is Diego Maradona.
Yeah,
Like, you look at 1982, he's 21, he's getting kicked by absolutely everyone. He then gets sick of getting kicked, and in their final game, when they're going to get knocked out, he kicks a Brazil player and gets sent off. He's like, the whole hopes of the nation are put on him. And then 1986 is just like um the hand of God into the like um best goal ever. He was involved in 10 of Argentina's 14 World Cup goals. He like he's on drugs. He's doing cocaine. He's like he complained about their shirts, so they went to a sports shop in Mexico, and the whole squad got new shirts.
yeah.
Like,
And this is also just his playing career, let alone when he coached Argentina
no.
in 2010.
I'm getting to more. I'm getting to all of it. He, just like he's the guy in football, and what happens at the end of it, like, got the coach. Like, they were so superstitious that like they each could not like stop what they were doing. Like, before their first group game when they won, a guy dropped a lolly in the middle of a field, by accident, and they made him do that before every other game, accidentally drop a lolly. And like, it's just, and then you go into 1990 where the drugs have gotten to him. Like, he's
Because
not,
this is Italy. This is Italy
yeah.
in 1990. So like you got to think like he's Napoli's prodigal son. So this is kind of a little bit like a homecoming World Cup for him.
And like all of Italy hates him except for Naples.
Naples, yeah,
And the semi-final, Italy, Argentina is in Naples, and he tells the crowd, he just tells the Naples crowd to not support Italy, and like he scores the penalty in the penalty shootout to win, and like there's a massive outcry from the north of Italy, just at Naples going, "Oh, we can't believe you've done this," and Naples are like, "Hold on, you guys have been racist to the Naples people, and like now you care what we think." Like, and like he's just getting kicked. He's injured. He's playing through everything. And then 1994,
yeah. USA
he's
1994. How's he
so
still there?
he's like left Napoli. He's gone to Sevilla. He's stuffed everything up. He's like got multiple lawsuits. He's wanted in Italy for mafia, drug possessing, drug laundering, prostitution. And he doesn't have a club side. He hasn't had a club side for a year, but is still picked by,
Being selected, I know.
and he plays 2 games and he's their best on ground in both of them. 1 goal, 1 assist. And then he fails a drug test by about six drugs that are on the banned list. And like he gets sent home. Italy like fall apart right after he's gone. And
Argentina.
like Argentina. And it's like the goal he scores, you can see footage of it. And he celebrates so intensely that everyone goes, "Oh, what's going on, Maradona?"
Yeah,
And
it's a
then
bit over the top, even by his standards.
and one of the games he gets done for drugs is like one of the drugs is cocaine. And Argentina tests him before the game and he's negative for cocaine. Then after the game, FIFA tests him and he's positive.
Yeah,
And then it goes into the 2010 World Cup where Argentina have forced him to be the coach. Like the people behind,
yeah,
like he never the guy for the job, and he actually like doesn't do a terrible job. Like they get to the quarterfinals. Um, they scored 10 goals in those games. He's their charismatic, like hugging the players all over the sideline. Reckon he gets sent off in one of them for spraying the linesman with water
yeah,
to
yeah. He
get his
squirted the
attention.
linesman. Yeah, because he kept ignoring him, so that he squirted him with water.
Footage has been found of him doing drugs in a team huddle. Like, just he's insane. He's
Of where like anyone else is never getting away with that, but because it was Diego, and like he just made I swear he had 28 lives. Like some of the it's a great shout from you. He has so many World Cup storylines. The one I always find about like 2010 that's so funny is like I'm pretty sure there was a training session where like all the players and all the staff were there, but he wasn't there because he'd slept in. And they
yeah.
ring him and they're like, "Oh, Diego, where are you? Like, we're waiting for you for training." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're gonna have to start without me." It's a little bit hazy, but just some of the stuff that went on was just like so comical. Where if it was like anyone else but Diego, it would never have flown.
He he moved trainings to the afternoons because it suited his lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it,
stuff like that. I mean, just like, and can you imagine like the players? Like Messi at that point is like pretty close to being like early in his prime, and he's just there like, hmm. Is it is it is it Sergio Aguero is married to his daughter?
uh I
I
think
reckon
so.
I reckon Sergio Aguero is married to his daughter. And you just go like I wonder what that relationship is like. Yeah, Sergio Aguero was married
Yeah,
to
formerly. Poor
hang on,
Sergio.
hang on. He was married to her.
Yeah.
They met in 2008 and had a son before divorcing in 2012. The split was turbulent, with Diego Maradona publicly criticizing Aguero.
You just go like, can you imagine just the walking on eggshells he would have been doing?
Oh,
Like,
but also he's like completely psychotic, so you like genuinely don't know how that's going to go.
it's like,
There's also
oh,
an article here from the 5th of February 2018. Diego Maradona has not forgiven Sergio Aguero. Diego Maradona is one of the finest footballers ever to grace the game, and it turns out he's pretty good at being petty too. You might recall the Manchester City striker Sergio Aguero used to be married to Maradona's daughter, with whom he had a child prior to their split in 2012. But what's unusual is the photograph is El Diego appears to have gone to work with a Sharpie and he's blacked out Aguero's face from a family photo.
mate, the
Mate,
grudges he held were
oh,
crazy.
mate, that's a great that's a
Um,
great shout. If I would definitely encourage listeners to do some research on Diego
well,
Maradona's life.
while in the chase of it, you run out of podcast pretty quickly. I've listened to a 7-part Sports Bazaar podcast on him, on his whole life by Mick Malloy and Titus O'Reilly, and it is a great listen.
Oh,
Like,
mate, it's exceptional, genuinely exceptional. You just the storylines and everything that went on Diego Armando Maradona's life is genuinely crazy. So we're going
yeah,
to move on to a quick Socceroos update. The World Cup is fast approaching. Let's take a look at how the Socceroos are looking at the key moments that are ahead of us. So I guess the key for the Socceroos, if I think about Harry, for the Socceroos to go deep, what are the things that need to go their way? They need to have their guys that are going to give them a spark to play well. So if we look at, I've pulled up the player performances since the international window of four guys that I would say are crucial to the Socceroos and their quest in the United States. So I put up Riley McGree. He has played a full 90 and he's then had a 66-minute and 84th minute performance. Looking here on Flash Score, he's had 7.2 performance, 6.8, and 6.3. So the good news there for Riley is that he is consistently playing. The same goes for Chikati. He has played their last two games. He's played the full 90 for Parma in the Serie A, which is fantastic. He's going to be really important for us at the back. And then we've got the two wizards up front, Nestor Irinkunda. We saw he scored that goal for Watford against Charlton, where he played 81 minutes and then another full 90 in a 2-0 loss to Oxford. And Motura, returning back from injury, we saw him come on for a 28-minute performance against Portsmouth before then playing a full half against Millwall and coming on and getting 2 assists, which is extremely surprising. Not surprising, definitely not surprising. Extremely pleasant to see. So they're four players, Harry, that I think that for the Socceroos to be able to go deep, they need to make sure they are playing regular football going
yeah.
in towards the World Cup.
Harry Suter back in matchday squads.
Yep, Harry Sutar back, which Leicester City need him. The way they're going, they are
Yeah.
flirting very dangerously with relegation to League One.
Safe to
Which is
say
sad to
they
see.
won't come last with Sheffield Wednesday on -4 points.
Oh, big time, big time, big time. So
They'd have to be doing
ahead for the
pretty bad to get into the
Socceroos.
negatives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, got a massive points deduction. Um, so notable things for the Socceroos. So later this month, we're going to start, sorry, early next month, we're going to get our provisional squads. So our teams need to submit their wider squads into FIFA in May. And then we've got some matches coming up on the 31st of May. And then they just announced that our last game before the World Cup will be a friendly against Switzerland on the 7th of June, which will be a great hit out. Switzerland feel like one of those teams that just always somehow gets knocked out in the quarterfinals on pens or the round of 16. They're just always there. They somehow always make their way through their group and they always get there. I think the key is for the Socceroos is those four guys I mentioned,
Yeah.
Toure, Aaron
Just
Kunda,
on
McGree,
just
and
on
Shakati.
Switzerland. Just on Switzerland. Yeah. Sometimes they struggle in World Cups, but their flag's a huge plus.
But I think, again, those four guys, they're playing consistent football, and we hope that Moture can keep getting on the park because he is going to be a really nice creative spark, whether that's starting or off the bench. And I thought rather than doing a full check-in on the squad, I thought it was nice to just have a little bit of a reference point on what those guys are doing. So, Harry, last episode, episode 1, we gave our first room meter readings. I reckon you said they were going to go out in the round of 32, and I said the round of 16. Has your room meter changed? Still
Like,
happy with round 32?
I'm happy with getting out of the group with a good performance. I don't want a bad performance in the round of 32, but if we can get out of there, I'm pretty
A
well
fighting
fine.
chance. A
Yeah.
fighting chance. No, I agree. I don't think mine's changed either. It's kind of hard. We haven't seen that much significant news. Obviously, last time we were coming hot off the international break. The good news for us at the moment is that we haven't seen any serious injuries, and the guys that are coming back from injuries haven't had any setbacks. So we touch wood, cross your fingers, cross your legs, do everything you can that we can keep a clean bill of health, because that is going to be extremely important moving forward, so that we can give ourselves the best possible chance. So this has been Red, White and Roo. We are going to be dropping episodes fortnightly as we head towards the World Cup. And this one has been a deep dive into what the World Cup means for us. Some people remember the goals. Some people remember where they were watching and who they were watching with. Or some just remember the feeling of the whole country getting behind them. Remember to share your World Cup memories via Spotify, socials, or email the show at talkofthetown.pod@outlook.com. The next episode, we will be a step closer to the World Cup, and we're going to start looking and ask the big question: who could actually make Australia's World Cup squad? Harry, any parting thoughts from you?
No, I've got nothing to add to that.
So we are 55 days out from the World Cup. We're excited. We hope you're excited. We're going to take you guys along for the ride. That's been Red, White and Roo.